Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Justice. At the end of this year, in December, I will be 30 years old. I know. It's a big deal to me. One, because I've always seen 30 as this milestone age. When I step into 30, will know the type of woman that I want to be and that I will be stepping into 30 being that woman. I'm just excited for it. This video is going to talk about 10 things specifically that I have learned in my 20 plus years of life. I think these videos are so beneficial and helpful, and it is my prayer and my hope that you on the other side of the screen, whether you are entering into your 20s, already halfway through them, or well seasoned in your age, but that you can learn something from some of the things that I have learned. And in the comments, we could start some dialogue, some conversation, like really just help each other out, okay? So let's get into these lessons. And these are in no particular order. First lesson that I feel like I've learned in my 20s is how I see myself, how I think about myself, and how I talk about myself matters, because it really determines the course of my life and what I see and how I experience my life. And I think a lot of us in our 20s, especially our early 20s, coming out of high school, going into college, we are more focused on what other people think about us and what other people say about us versus how we think about ourselves and what we say to ourselves about ourselves. Let me give you an example. If you don't feel like you're attractive, you don't feel like you feel insecure about how you look, about how you dress, about how your hair is, and you speak very negatively about yourself, you're going to start to shrink a little bit. You're going to start to hide. And I'm speaking from experience, sis. So what I learned is how I speak to myself up here, the things that nobody else can hear, really matters and also determines how I show up in the world. And so if I'm showing up confident, bold, like I belong here, I can take up my space. I believe that God has created me wonderfully and beautifully, and I show up that way, I'm telling myself that. And so I've just been telling myself these affirmations, just affirming who God created me to be, who I believe myself to be, the woman that I want to be. I'm affirming myself, all of these things. So I show up as her. And I love that for her. And I love her. And she's the bomb. And she look good. Okay, period. The second thing that I have learned is my relationship with God changed my life. You know, I know a lot of people say this, like, I don't know where I would be without God. And it's real. It may sound like a cliche, but it is the most realest thing ever. I don't know where Justice would be without God's guidance, comfort, peace, joy, leadership, wisdom. I can go on and on and on. So the biggest thing that I learned was that my relationship with God is a non-negotiable, because I've tried many times in my 20s to run away from him, to rebel against the things that he's told me, to try not to be that girl. If you know what I mean. Like, I didn't want to be, this sounds so bad saying it out loud, but y'all, we here, so I can say this. I didn't want to be like that Christian girl who I envisioned in my head to be this like square girl who couldn't like rap music, who couldn't, hang out with her friends and have a drink. I had this vision of what a Christian girl looked like. And I'm like, I don't want to be that, because that's not me. But I realized that God wasn't calling me to be someone that I'm not, but he was leading me and guiding me into looking more like him and being more like him, to protect me, to love me, to be a representative of who he created me to be in the first place. As I continue to walk this life out with God, because I do not have it all together, I am in process, and I believe that I am exactly right where he has me, where he wants me to be. Had I had a relationship with God before even entering in my 20s, child, I mean, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I'm here now, and it was the perfect timing, right? But I'm praying that if you're watching this video and you don't have a relationship with God, that you would be open to it and that you would invite him into your life as a friend. Third thing, and this should have been the first thing, y'all, therapy. Therapy has changed my life too. I would not be the woman I am before you had it not been for God and my therapist. And here's the thing with therapy. I did have to go through 3 or 4 therapists before I found my real one. And if you're watching this, I love you, girl. You are a major part of my life, and I hold you dear. I hold you close, girl. It is what they say it is. So if you've never been to therapy, I want you to think of therapy like you're driving a car, right? And you know how when you're driving a car, you have blind spots that you cannot see. Think of your therapist as that passenger who can see your blind spot, and they're just pointing them out to you. They're not necessarily telling you what to do, and they may, suggest things for you to do, but your therapist can see that when you continue to do life with them, they can see those blind spots, point them out to you, and help lead you and guide you through your life and your life experiences. When I was going through some of the toughest times of my life, like through my divorce, and being able to have a therapist that who may have never been through a divorce before, but can give me language also about what I was thinking, what I was experiencing emotionally, mentally, spiritually, because she's a Christian therapist. All of that, y'all. Get you a therapist. Get you a therapist. Okay, here's a big one. I got a big one. Here's a doozy. Here is a doozy. And this is something that is Justice 2023 is actively working through, okay? Use wisdom when you're choosing your relationships, not feelings and vibes. If you know, you know. Oh, y'all, I'm still struggling with this because you know how you get all the feelings. Your feelings want to lead you down certain paths and with certain people that you have no business messing with them people. You have no business in that space, in that place, right? And so I am encouraging you all in your 20s, out your 20s, no matter what age you are, to use wisdom when choosing the relationships. That is romantic relationships, that's friendships. Get outside of your feelings and ask yourself some thought-provoking questions about said person, right? What me and my friend does, we keep a running list on a note in our phones of questions to ask ourselves and questions to ask the person that we want to do relationship with, to kind of discern, is this for me or not? Rather than going on like,
we vibing, we connecting, we feeling good, like this is a good time.
But stepping back and saying, okay, this is good. This does feel good. Let me really look at it. Let me really discern it. Let me use wisdom when navigating this relationship versus just how I feel and if the vibes is right. Child, it'll save you so much relationships. It'll save you heartbreak. I plan on doing like a separate relationship type of video, but I ain't ready to do that yet because sis is still learning some things herself. What I can speak to right now is pause. I've learned so much when I just stopped and I paused and I looked at the situation. I looked at the relationship. I looked at how I felt. I looked at how this person made me feel. And I'm grateful and thankful that I've gotten to this place, entering into 30, saying I'm still fine tuning and redefining what it is that I want, what it is that Justice needs as a single mom, what that looks like in relationship. And I'm grateful that these lessons have taught me some things about just pausing, just stopping, asking myself some tough questions and saying no to what it is that doesn't serve me. All right, so the next thing that I have learned in my 20s is to do it afraid. I'll do it afraid. Whatever it is for you, do it afraid. When people speak about courage and courageous people doesn't mean that they have the absence of fear. Courageous people are afraid, but they do it anyway. They just step out there anyway. Right now, me recording this video, me pursuing YouTube, me being consistent here, I'm doing things that I would typically not do because of how it may be perceived by other people. So whether that is fear holding you back, whether it's the opinion and acceptance and validation of other people, whatever it is, do it afraid, do it anyway. Here's the thing. God has given you a specific purpose, God has given you a specific purpose, gift, talent to fulfill here on this earth while you are still here. And that is not contingent upon who accepts you, who validates you. That's not contingent upon how you feel. Do it anyway. Because as you actively walk in the thing and you actively do the thing, those fears, whatever it is that was holding you back, will start to feel confident and bold. Like, nah, I'm called to do this. I'm supposed to do this. This is something I want to do. Do it. Kind of piggybacking off of doing it afraid. Your gifts and talents come from God. Me in my 20s learning that okay, I'm not just here because my mom and dad came together and made me and now I'm here. I'm here for a purpose. God saw a need in the world and he said, we need justice. Let's get these two people together and do what they do so we can get justice. You may have a natural gift and ability to do something, but those gifts still have to be developed and cultivate it. And see, I thought like I could just step out here with my gift and just do the thing. And you can. I encourage you to do that. But understand that there is still a whole process and learning and development that has to go on if you really want to reach the level that I believe God has for all of us. Like, I don't think we should stay stagnant, but that we can level up and maximize our experience here on earth and get all of the goodness God has out here for us while we are still young. Those are the years to be developed and to start like doing the things and doing the things well and getting better at doing the things, whatever your thing is. All right, I gotta read this one from my notes because this was so good to me when I wrote it down. Be patient with the process because everything you pick up along the way will help you to sustain the blessing at the end. One of the things I've learned though is to be patient in the process. If I try to rush through something, I'm missing all of the little hints and nuggets of wisdom that I believe God has for you and I. He don't want to take you through the process just for the sake of time and taking you through something. No, I believe that God wants to take us through processes so that we can pick up stuff. So when I get the blessing, when I get the thing I've been praying for, when I get to the end, I have the wisdom to sustain the thing that I now have. This is a personal example. So one of the things that I had to learn through my relationships after my divorce was that I had to go through the process of grief and healing. Of course, sis wanted to rush through the process of grief because grief don't feel good. And sometimes healing doesn't feel good either. I wanted to get through. Let's get through so I can get to the fun stuff, so I can be happy again, so I can be confident again, so I can start dating and being in another relationship. But it's like, no, slow down, because you were married for 9+ years and you picked up some things along the way that don't serve you, right? You picked up some things that serve you, but you picked up some things that don't serve you as well. So let's look at all that's in front of us. Look at all the things. Let's put down the things that we shouldn't have picked up, and let's pick up the wisdom that we learned from this experience. And if you're rushing, you're missing all of that. God is speaking to you through the process. You're missing all of that. You're moving quick. And all you hear is the noise of the wind of you just going. And I know this so well because my therapist will tell you, like, Jess does not know how to sit down. She wants to do. It's a response to one, rushing, and also just, it's uncomfortable to sit still and to be with your feelings, to be with your emotions, to be with bad experiences. It's uncomfortable. But being patient with the process, I believe, will be so much more fruitful for you at the end, whenever you are where you want to be, right? So even me sitting before you right now, because I have learned to be more patient and to slow down and to listen, I have so much more wisdom to where I can sit down and create a video about all the lessons that I've learned in my 20s, because I'm like, no, let me be patient with myself, grace myself through the process so that I'm not rushing through life and I'm missing the things that I need. Okay, y'all still with me? This is good. Okay. My past doesn't determine my future. You think where you at right now is the end all be all. This is how the rest of my life is going to look. And it's like, sis, you're just getting started. You will not stay in this place, especially if you don't want to. Believe in that I am not going to stay in this experience. So if you have a very traumatic past or a past that you don't particularly agree with, that does not determine what is going to happen in your future. You know what I'm saying? If you've been through some tough stuff, you are in the middle of some tough stuff right now, and you are 21, 22, that does not mean that your future is going to also look like that. So you have to believe that what I've gone through in the past is going to stay there. I'm going to pick up the wisdom that I need, and I'm going to believe for better in my latter days. Again, you in your 20s, you just getting started, okay? And I will soon be in my 30s, just getting started. We tend to look at this age thing like doom and gloom, and it's like, nah, folks is living until 100. Like, I'm in my 30s. God willing, I got 70+ more years of this life. 9th thing that I have learned in my 20s. Trust yourself. Part of learning to trust yourself is failing and falling. With each fall or fail, you get wisdom and discernment to course correct. For me personally, I was so afraid to fall, to fail, that I wasn't even making no steps. I wasn't even doing anything. I was playing it safe. I was trying to just get through the next day. And it doesn't necessarily have to be this big, grand goal thing. If you don't just try at life, if you don't just try to believe for better, you may stay in the same mindset, in this safety bubble that you've created for yourself. How do we learn how to trust ourselves? We got to get back out there and continue to make decisions, continue to say yes and to say no, because you're learning, you're fine tuning, especially in your 20s. As you're still figuring things out. One of the things that I learned from one of my best friends, Ashley, shout out to you, you're going to have to bump your head a few times before you get to that place where you trust yourself, right? I was afraid to even try because I said, if I try, I'm going to bump my head. And it's like, absolutely. You may bump your head or you may not. That goes for anything, whether it's parenting, relationships, your career, whatever it is. If you don't try and risk the potential of bumping your head or failing or falling, then you'll just never know and you'll stay safe. Don't get me on here preaching again. Eventually, you will get to a point where you have the wisdom and discernment to see a thing from a distance before having to experience it to know, I'm good off that. That ain't for me. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this instead. So the 20s is about bumping your head. So get a helmet. Last, but certainly not least, what I learned in my 20s, take care of your money, honey. Steward your money well. Get educated on money. Get a budget. Stick to the budget. Set up a financial future for your kids. Because I don't feel like they taught us a lot about money in school, we had to come out into the real world not necessarily knowing, unless our parents taught us, not really knowing how to take care of our money, right? So I believe what I learned in my 20s is how to budget, how to steward my money. And I'm still learning how to manage my money because here's the thing, we tend to be a little reckless when we're young and just spend and we want it, so we get it. We want it, so we get it. I just think it's very important that we learn more about money. We educate ourselves about money and that we practice self-control. Okay, because here's a bonus tip. Self-control when it comes to money isn't talked about a lot. There is a level of self-control of seeing things that you want and seeing other people with the things that you want and saying, you know what? I'm not financially there yet. Or I'll save so that I can get the thing versus just getting the thing and worrying about the rest later. You know what I'm saying? And I did a lot of that in my 20s. And I've learned that as God continues to provide for me and give me more, I have more to lose. With money comes a certain level of freedom. And I desire that. I desire that for my son. I desire that for my son's kids one day, to just have this level of freedom. I am having more conversations about wealth. I'm thinking more than just justice right now. It's not just about what's right here, right now. I think that's a big thing in your 20s. You see right here, but opening up your mind and your perspective to what's beyond the current year and the current you that you're looking at in the mirror. I hope that helps, y'all. I hope that helped. This was fun doing this video. Actually, I feel like 20s was a long 10 years. And this last 29th year deserves a video all on its own. I'm being challenged and stretched in so many ways that I'm like, ooh, I feel like as you get older, you're shedding different layers of yourself, especially as you get more mature and you step into again, who God created you to be. You are shedding layers of immaturity, of irresponsibleness, of selfishness. I mean, if you're doing it right and you're doing the work, as you continue to step into these different ages, you're looking at yourself and you're like, wow, I went through some tough stuff, but look at the blossoming of what those experiences birth. God really does create beauty from ashes. And I truly believe that. And I am blessed that I am seeing the fruit of that in my life. I pray and hope that you all were blessed by this video and that you learned something new. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will see you guys in my next one. Peace.